Hey friends, Justin here. This is a list of gear that I held off on buying for a long time because I was afraid of ultralight gear's reliability and durability, or for some of it, I just didn't plain know it existed. But all of it is gear I'd wish I'd bought sooner. First up is a NioFlume liner. So this is essentially just a plastic bag, but it's very lightweight and really durable. I used to carry a whole bunch of dry bags and stuff sacks for my quilt, my clothes, a whole bunch of other things, but since I started using the NioFlume liner as a pack liner, I sometimes don't even bring any stuff sacks or dry bags, which is pretty nice and saves me a lot of weight. I put the NioFlume liner into my pack, and then I pack my pack just like I normally would. I stuff in my sleeping bag, my clothes, my sleeping pad, and then other things that I want to keep dry. And then I just twist up the top of the pack liner here and then tuck it into the back, and everything's gonna stay super dry. I've used a NioFlume liner on a whole bunch of different rainy trips and nothing inside of it got wet. I picked up a pack of the NioFlume liners off of Garage Grown Gear. They're a niche online backpacking gear website. They have a whole bunch of really awesome gear, including the NioFlume liners, and really affordable international shipping rates. So I'll post a link to where they have the NioFlume liner available in the video description, as well as links to all the gear that I talked about today. For a long time, I used big aluminum pots when in the backcountry as part of my cook system, but it was really overkill when I just need to boil water for freeze-dried meals. But I was scared to use a smaller and lighter pot, and trip after trip I was convincing myself that I needed this big aluminum pot in order to be safe and comfortable in the backcountry. But that's not the case. I've been using a small Toaks titanium pot for a few years now, and it's really all I need if I'm just boiling water for a freeze-dried meal or for a hot drink. It's super small, compact, lightweight, and I can still nest my fuel canister, my stove, and my lighter inside of here, no problem. For this next item, you probably just saw it tucked away inside of the Toaks pot, and that's the BRS 3000 stove. For a really long time, I was hesitant to pick this stove up because it just looks fragile and tiny compared to the super burly stoves that you see when you go to a store like REI. Look at this little guy. It's definitely tiny and looks a little bit flimsy, doesn't inspire a whole ton of confidence, but it's been working really well for me for a few years now, and I know a lot of people who use this stove with no problems. Like with the Toaks pot, the BRS stove is really effective at filling a specific role. If you only need to boil water for your freeze-dried meals and hot drinks, and you don't need something that's bomb-proof and has all the bells and whistles, then this stove is gonna get you there. It's lightweight, it's small, and it costs and weighs a third of what some of the more mainstream stoves do. For years, I used the Patagonia down sweater as my backcountry insulation, but that jacket is no longer with me. I was the first car on scene at a bus crash coming back from the mountains a few years ago, and I gave that jacket to someone who was in shock and cold, and the jacket was very effective at keeping them warm, but it went with them into the ambulance, into the hospital, and I haven't seen it again since, but luckily everyone in the bus crash was okay. I replaced the down sweater with a Mountain Hardwear Ghost Whisper based on all the hype that you're reading on the internet a couple years ago, but really what I wish I had bought first was the Decathlon Trek 100 down jacket. It's a hooded full zip down jacket that is very warm for its weight and only costs $80. Since picking this up, I've since sold my Mountain Hardwear Ghost Whisper, and this has become one of my favorite pieces of gear. I might even say that this is the best backpacking, bang for your buck piece of gear out there. We're gonna talk about the last item now here, but afterwards I'm gonna give you some pro tips for how to use your Toaks titanium pot a little bit more effectively, so stick around for that. If you follow the channel, then you know that over the last 6 months, I become a convert of toe socks. And it started off with the budget-friendly Decathlon toe socks here, but I've since expanded my toe sock arsenal, and I now have a whole bunch of Injinji toe socks as well. They just have a little bit of a broader range of different kinds. I now use toe socks for almost every activity that I do, from hiking to backpacking to running, cross-country skiing. I find that they're very effective at keeping my feet comfortable, my toes from getting blisters, as well as they allow my toes to splay and function properly, and are just all around really effective at keeping my feet happy. Now onto the Toaks pro tips. You know, if you have a Toaks pot already, then they come with this little orange bag, but I find it a little bit fiddly to use and a little bit heavier than something like an elastic band. So I'll use an elastic band just to keep the lid and everything inside the pot. As well, the second tip that I have for you is to use electrical tape around the handles of the pot. While titanium is really good at dissipating heat, I find that sometimes when pulling the pot off of a really hot fire or stove, then these handles can get really warm, and the electrical tape helps insulate you and prevents you from burning your fingers. If you're just getting into backpacking or want some really awesome gear to recommend to your friends, then go check out a video post right up in the corner there where I talk about what I think are the best tent, pack, and sleep system. This big three are comfortable, they're warm, they're affordable, and just all around really good pieces of gear.